In this video, we're going to talk about using the distribution property to help solve our equations. Whenever you see distribution, which means there's a set of parentheses around, this makes this a team. And we need to make sure we take the number outside the team and multiply to both things. So the first step, usually this happens a majority of the time whenever you see parentheses, when we're solving equations, we want to distribute, which means we want to take this number and multiply it to the 2x. We get negative 16x. And take this number and multiply it to the negative 1 and get a positive 8. Once we do this, we get to what we're used to seeing, a two-step equation. Add the opposites, and then we can divide. So we add the negative 8 to both sides. We end up with 32 on the right, negative 16x on the left. We can now divide. Negative 16 and negative 16. So we have 32 over negative 16. So our answer is negative 2. We look over at the second problem. Very similar, except the variables are on the right side of the equal sign. We want to do the same thing. Again, I would always look to distribute first. 4 times 3x is 12x. 4 times 5 is 20. Add our opposites. We end up with 36 equaling 12x. Again, once we see numbers on one side, variables on the other, divide by the coefficient. That's the number multiplying the variable. And we end up with 3 equaling x. Another example that you're going to see is when the number outside the parenthesis is a fraction. Everything stays the same. We still want to distribute the fraction to kind of reduce it into something what we're a little bit more familiar with. So the third problem that we have, and this was number 12 and on your notes, we have 2/3 parenthesis c minus 18 equaling 10. Now think about what you're going to do first on that problem, as I write down our last problem that we're going to cover. We still have this quantity, this number, multiplying everything that's inside that team. So you still want to take this 2/3 and multiply it to both the c and the negative 18. 2/3 times c is 2/3 c. 2/3 times negative 18, if I do some little work down here, the 3 can be reduced with the 18 to make that a 6. So 2 times negative 6 is a negative 12. All right? Whenever you're doing fractions, it always helps to do a little work on the side to get that answer. Copied on the 10, we did nothing with it. Now as you see, we now have whole numbers here, or integers here. So we can add our opposites. Add 12 to both sides. Now we are going to end up with our coefficient being a fraction. So instead of dividing by a number, we want to multiply by the reciprocal. And the reciprocal would be 3 over 2. 3's cancel, 2's cancel, so we're left with c. When we reduce this fraction, I know that 2 and 22, there's a 2 that goes into both of them, and 22 divided by 2 is 11. 11 times 3 does equal 33. And that would be our final answer. And it would work once we substitute it in here to double check our work. Don't let the fraction scare you. Simply multiply or divide the fraction and multiply it to that number. Now our last problem that we're going to look at today. There's more than just a distribution. We also have this out here. We're going to combine what we've done this section. We're going to distribute and combine like terms. Only only multiply or distribute what's there. This 5x is separate. There's a subtraction sign that separates it. So I'm going to copy this down. That 5x does not change. I do need to distribute this negative 4. Remember, there's a sign out in front, so that makes it negative. When we distribute, we get negative 8x minus 36 equals negative 6. Now, if you remember from our last lesson, before we want to add opposites to that, we want to combine like terms on the same side. So 5x minus 8x is negative 3x. Minus 36 equals negative 6. Now you can add like add opposites. The opposite of a minus 36 is plus 36. We'll now end up with negative 3x equaling 30. And then our last step is divide by negative 3. And we get an answer of negative 10. And when we plug it back up there, it will work out where we get a negative 6. So in review, to sum up these sections, we need to think about how we're doing this. Whenever possible, we want to distribute. Our second step is combining like terms. Our third step, we want to add opposites. And last, we either want to divide or multiply by divide or multiply, either by a number or the reciprocal. Keep these in order, complete these in the same order, and everything should be good. See you next time.